All right. Um, we are here
Hello.
thanks to our sole and biggest sponsor, which is AWS Startups. And today we have Napa from AWS, who is going to be first give us a quick introduction about yourself and then tell us a little bit about what AWS is all about and why we are all here today.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Sorry I disappointed you. I didn't dance up the stage. I was born with two left feet. But I'm Nigerian, like she's already said. My name is Napa, not Nepa. Yeah, really important because some people say Nepa, Nepa, Nepa. And I've been in AWS for a year. I celebrated my 1 year anniversary yesterday, so really happy to be sharing it with all of you in the room. And I lead the startups organization covering Africa, so 48 plus countries. My team is, some of them are in Africa, some of them are in parts of Europe, and some of them are in the Middle East. And I was brought on board to really help startups, to drive the team to help startups scale and grow on AWS. For those of you that don't know, AWS is an organization within Amazon, Amazon Web Services, and we're one of the leaders in cloud computing. For some of you that are digital native startups, I'm sure you're aware of us. And when I came on board, actually, Eunice, I did a 5 point agenda because I'm Nigerian now. And one of the 5 points was really enabling female startups and bringing that diversity into the tech ecosystem. So I'm really excited to be here. Really honored that we partnered with you.
Amazing, amazing. So we're obviously here for the Women's Demo Week, and if you could just maybe give us like a quick, share a little bit about what was the inspiration behind, like why does AWS care? I know you mentioned that you said you wanted to like make sure that there's a little bit more improvement in that aspect, but like, what is the inspiration behind this event today?
Yeah, so I think it's the marriage of where personal intent and leadership, and also a company that is intentional around supporting female founders. So I don't know how many of you know that all the funding that comes to startups globally, female-led founders get less than 2%. Yeah, it's really, really mind blowing because female-led startups usually perform better. They have better transparency, better traction, and then boards that have a lot of diversity perform better. So it just made sense for AWS to use their global presence, their scale, to be able to kind of put this initiative top of mind and then create the opportunities to empower female led startups.
That's amazing. What outcome are we hoping to achieve both for women founders and the broader startup ecosystem through these events? And we're going to speak specifically for Nigeria since
Yeah,
we're
for
here.
Nigerians, yeah. You captured it in your intro, right? Empowering the female-led startups. So there a good mix of founders in the room. There's a good mix of VCs as well. So enabling that connection is one. The second thing is for all the startups that will pitch today. I really want to encourage us to help them with visibility, and then if there is something that is interesting that you see, also be able to support them, right? And ultimately, the idea is for the ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, for us to see more diversity. I mean, how many times have you guys been in a startup event and there's a panel and it's all male founders, right? Or VCs. Some of you are smiling because you know exactly what I mean. So the truth is, if we're solving problems on the continent through startups, because the whole point is startups disrupt businesses, disrupt industries, it's very important for women to be part of the solution that is being created, because then we'll create solutions that are diverse. So ultimately, we want the ecosystem to be as diverse, open as possible, so that no matter your gender, no matter your race, and in Nigeria, our own is also added tribe, you're able to get access to the networks, you're able to get access to the capital you need to scale and grow.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm going to ask a quick question to the audience before I ask you the next
Okay.
question. We're obviously here for AWS. You're all getting at least 1,000 in AWS credit.
No, louder, louder, please. Louder, louder. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm curious, how many of you guys currently use AWS in the room? Okay. How many of you know what AWS credit can do for you? Okay, well, it seems like not everybody fully understand the purpose of AWS and the credit that you guys are offering. Maybe you can explain the benefit to startups.
Oh yeah, definitely. Our credit system is under our Activate program, right? And the truth is, I don't know what stage you all are in, whether you're in the build stage, scaling, or growing, but you do want to deploy your capital intelligently, right? So you don't want to be spending your capital on your, maybe you're going through a pivot in your startup, or you're going through a change in strategy, and you're spending so much on the tech stack. So with the AWS credits, you're able to then grow without having to invest your capital there, and you can invest your capital in places that mean the most to your business. But the same way we say in Nigeria, beyond oil, you guys know that phrase. No, how many of you know the phrase? Because you know it, right? Beyond oil, we're looking for revenue streams beyond oil. It's the same thing with AWS, beyond credits. As an If you're building on AWS, there are quite a number of other benefits that are available to you. So if you're in the build phase, we have a 10-week accelerator. You don't even have to have a product for you to come into our 10-week accelerator. And the idea is that at the end, you'll be able to have a product. That is our Startup Loft Accelerator. And then as you continue through the phases of a startup, we're able to connect you to VCs, our very strong global VC network for capital. We're able to look for partnerships for you. We see this in organizations or startups that want to scale beyond Nigeria. Because we're global, we're able to help you. And then for those of you that are CTO founders, or you have a CTO co-founder, we have a CTO fellowship where you have access to people that have been building for years. And then also you have access to AWS solution architects. How many of you really know how to optimize your tech stack? And that's something that's really important to us, to make sure that you're only paying for what you need, as opposed to just putting products and then you have this large tech stack that's not really what you need. So I encourage all of us here. I'll be here for a minute. I would love to meet as many of you in the room. But my team as well are very open to supporting and engaging with the startup. So beyond credits, which is amazing to help you use your capital wisely in the places that mean the most in terms of your, but also the support that organization like AWS can give startups is also something you should explore.
Amazing. I think one of the things that I love about just AWS in general is that they do a lot. They have so many programs to empower underrepresented founders, women founders in the ecosystem. What do you think it is so important for organizations like AWS and just other corporates, right, to get involved in the startup ecosystem and really help bring up underrepresented founders?
Also, always lead with data, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, less than 2% of funding is, I don't know what you guys' thoughts are, but I don't think it's a good number, right? So, any organization that has the ability to use their scale, their partnership, their global presence should see that number as not a good number. We should be moving that number up. And I don't know how many of us are watching the trends of funding this year, but we're already seeing an improved amount that's going to female led founders. And even in VCs now, with LPs, GPs, they're being particular about underrepresented groups, right? So apart from actually launching these kind of programs, we also need to be personally responsible to educate ourselves, whether you're a large corporate or whether you're an individual, to make sure that you understand what this percentage means. 2% means the people that are solving the problems of tomorrow do not have the perspective of underrepresented founders. That means the solutions may not cater to these groups. So it's something that collectively all corporates should be aware and actually address.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we have a group of amazing female founders speaking later today. What are you excited the most about these female founders?
Yeah, like when I'm biased, of course, because I'm female, but when women solve problems, it's always an interesting way to look at the perspective they have. So I'm really looking forward to the perspectives. Women are leading in climate tech. They're leading in social change, which is amazing. So looking for those kind of solutions as well. And then also AI ML. I'm hoping we can see some, future technologies or future use cases. And then networking as well. I love meeting founders. So I'm also looking forward to that as well.
Amazing, amazing. So, for the people that are attending today, how what would you say they can do to best support female founders, just generally?
So, of course, engage in the program. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, party atmosphere. Um, your host is
Yes,
amazing.
so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, so for those of us that can't dance, we'll sit at the back. But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, engage. Secondly, if you see a founder or like a pitch that's interesting, you can also look for ways you can connect, maybe network with them, but also if you have networks that could support them, do so, and then amplify what they're doing. Um, you may not be the VC, you may not have the funding, but you may know the VC, and even if you don't, you can put a post about the amazing work they're doing. So as much as possible, Ajim Capital has provided, great platform for this to happen. We now need to amplify the great work. And as much as we're going to post the pictures of everything else that's amazing here, I think it would be good for us to share some of the pitch stories that we are going to learn about.
So please pull out your phone, share on Instagram, share on Twitter. The more noise we can make, the better for us. So,
Definitely, definitely.
awesome. So, what resources and opportunities are available for founders throughout the Women's Demo Week, during and after the event?
Well, during, of course, networking, meeting VCs, connecting with other founders, building out your network, and then, of course, access to AWS, which is great. I always encourage founders, don't just take the credit, go beyond the credits. But also, you have to key into the fact that AWS wants to see you to the journey where you're able to scale. So whether you're in the build phase, we're able to support there with not only credits, but access to solution architects, access to technical resources. And then when you're going into the growth phase, access to VCs, partnerships, being able to walk through your business idea with experts that are in our team. And then also when you're looking to scale across countries, leveraging our network. So as much as there's going to be so much, or not as much as there's so much happening this week globally, that we really need to amplify. So, like Eunice said, when you see the post, share it. We just need to let people know that this is happening and this is something that's important. It's also important after that to make sure that we look at how to build these businesses, because if we're able to get more and more successful startups from the underrepresented group of people, then we're going to get more representation in the tech ecosystem.
Amazing. To close this out before we get into Q&A, how do you hope to see the Women's Demo Week evolve in the future years as AWS continue these efforts globally?
Oh my gosh, this is like my heartbeat. I really want this. I really want this to grow into something tangible, something big, so that in a few years we're going to be talking about how we have double digits investment, and not in the tens or the twenties, but in the high 50s, 60s. You know, we want to be able to see that when a female founder pitches, there's enough education in the ecosystem and enough diversity that she doesn't feel like she's climbing an impossible task to get heard, you know. So we really want to make this something that is global, which is why we launched in so many cities at the same time. But we're hoping that it will continue to kind of spark that ripple effect that will cause us to now have really successful female founded startups that can bring back that expertise into the ecosystem.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Napa, for sharing all the resources.
Thank
Do we
you.
have any questions in the audience? We have a mic.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay, I wasn't sure it's working. Do we have any questions? Okay.
Um, Thank you very much for that wonderful session. First, Eunice, how are you not a Nigerian? Because all the while I see your name, Eunice Ajim, I thought it's one Igbo woman somewhere,
Wow.
maybe from Imo State or something. But good to meet you. So my question goes to Nada,
No, you see why I said Napa?
Napa,
No, just try it. Napa. Then
N-
turn the E to an A.
okay, Napa,
Uh-huh.
right? Okay, thank you. So my question is, I'm sorry I am not an AWS user yet. I am on the other side of the spectrum.
What's the other side?
I don't want to mention them. It's like mentioning Barcelona when you're a Real Madrid fan. All right. So, but one of the reasons why I'm there is because I'm a business data analyst at Sterling Bank, and I also run a non-profit on the side. And one of the packages that they have for us over there is some packages for non-profits. For non-profits, they support us a lot with a lot of free tools, a lot of free services, and all that. Would AWS startups start thinking around that side to support non-profits as well? And beyond the pitch session, beyond the demo day that we're having today, would you also, I know you have mentioned something like, okay, it's going to grow to something else, it's going to grow to something bigger and all that, but one of the biggest gaps, especially for female founders, is in terms of mentorship, in terms of trainings as well, on how to run a startup, how to run a successful business and all that. Would you also step into accelerator programs for young women and even young men as well? I don't know, but we shouldn't be excluded, right? In right. So, would you also step into all of those spaces to also provide all of these tools? Those are just the two questions I have.
Okay. Okay. So for the response on nonprofits, I will be able to share more details around that. But there are quite a number of programs AWS has to ensure that you have a very successful tech platform. And we do have some programs that are free and some programs that will actually make it possible for you to go to market at a lower cost. And I want to really emphasize the fact that we are very big on startups or customers generally only paying for what you need. I keep using that word need and not want because we have so many products and services that look very amazing. But the question is, what do you need to be able to scale and grow? Okay. So I can share that with you if I can get your details, more details around that. Then the second point around mentorship for female founders. I like the fact you said male or female, correct? Because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to technology or business, it is gender agnostic. You understand? Like if you put in 100 million in a business, whether it's run by a female or male, it now depends on the skills of the individual, correct? So we do have a number of accelerator programs. We had a Africa FinTech Accelerator program this year. It was the first ever, and where it was a really successful outing. We also partner with quite a number of accelerators, TechStars cohorts, Y Combinator. There are quite a number. So maybe what I can also do is share. I'm sure there's going to be an email list that I'll be able to share. And I think your question around the accelerator mentorship and coaching, there is a program that we are doing in line with kind of promoting female founders, and it isn't really around mentorship or coaching. It's around understanding bias when you're pitching. I don't know how many of you that have pitched before and you get some very challenging questions. So there is a program that we are launching this year. It's called the Elevate program. And what it does is it helps you recognize the bias when you're being asked questions and then how to respond. So like I said, coming on board, one of my pillars in my 5 point agenda is female founders, empowering female founders and underrepresented founders. And there are quite a number of programs that we're working on making sure that we bring that to the market. So I hope that kind of answers the questions that you posed.
My name is Okpebiko. I work for an accelerator called Night Ventures. We also have a partner company called AfriLocal VC, which is a VC based in the US. We're AWS partners as well.
See what I
So
mean?
happy to be here. So a recurrent issue I have is finding female founders, finding pools of them ready to work at growth stage and ready to be accepted into an accelerator. I find that a lot of times when we go for events, where we go for exhibitions, typically the female founders are a small percentage of the people there. So, what can we do as an ecosystem to encourage female founders to come out more, to show themselves, and to just be available? Because the resources are there, the resources are increasingly there. Founders are interested, accelerators are interested, investors are interested. We're looking to fill those gaps. How can we encourage female founders to come out more?
Yeah. This is such an interesting question because when I speak to female founders, they say VCs don't want to fund them. Do you see? So where's the disconnect? Is it networking? Is that what we think? There are female founders in the room. What do you think the disconnect is here?
I think intentionally reaching out to female founders. You know what I mean? Even for this event particularly, we were very intentional. Like even the men were like, "Oh, is this event for men too?" I said, "Yes, it's for men too because we need both women and men. But we want to make sure that at least 50% of the room are women founders." So we're very intentional about reaching out to like groups that are like, that have access to those demographics. But I think a lot of the times like VCs sit on the sideline and expect the women founders to come to them.
Exactly,
But the
exactly.
crazy part in the VC and the startup ecosystem is that people invest in who they know and people invest in people around their network. And if I'm a man and I have access to money, I'll automatically only invest in all my guy friends because those are people that I hang out with. So my advice to women in general when they say, well, we can't find funding or we don't get enough VCs paying attention to us, I'm like, try to find where they hang out, try to be their friends, try to show up in the room. As much as it might be a crazy advice as you possibly can think of, it's like you have to show up where they are and not sit where you are and expect them to come and find you.
And then I
But
also think some representation in VCs is also a good thing. If we see more LPs, GPs that are female, and then I also think there should be some accountability in terms of data driven decision making. So, is to look at your current portfolio, how many women founders are being funded now, and then put that aggressive target to say you want to move the needle 20% year over year. Because once you have that kind of metric, and not a vanity metric, that we now do press around, but a real metric, then you would then be intentional about looking for the female founders.
Okay, just a quick one. My name is Titus Igwe. Eunice, I'm happy to meet you in person. I've followed you for a long time. You know, thank you. You started a new your golf and this. Thank you. Congratulations on that. My question is for you. I'm restraining myself not to call you Nepa because that's what is ringing in my head.
Okay, so another thing I say is that Napa Valley was named after me. It's a weird flex,
Okay.
but I flex.
Okay, so I am a user of AWS, and that's why I say my question is very important. A first time user, early this year, I have a company in Nigeria that we're trying to go global, and we're trying to switch to AWS. We were still building the platform. We hosted the web application already on AWS. We were still building, still doing a lot of internal planning and marketing and all that. We were constantly being charged every month, by AWS, even when we have not even started, business. We have not even started using the application. And it was so crazy that within just this short period of time, we lost almost $1,000 in this economy with the way dollar is skyrocketing. So we had no option than to just shut it down and move to the other side. And we are not being charged. So he gave us some kind of leverage. So I wanted to know. And what I concluded was that AWS is not for startups, it's just for well established brands. Because if we are big enough, we wouldn't have mind, what is $1,000. But at this stage, every single money that we have, really, really counts. So please, I'm very interested in beyond this book and beyond credits, but still interested in the credits. But I want you to explain to me, what support system or structure does an SMA like me, a startup like me, have? One. And two, the CTO you talk about, the solution architects that you guys have, how can they really help us because to navigate through AWS, man, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's difficult. And I'm speaking from my own personal experience. Thank you.
Okay. No, Titus, hold the mic now. I want to ask you some questions. Yeah. So you got the $1,000 credit today, right?
I haven't checked.
No, correct.
you get an email after the event with
Okay.
the 1,000 credit.
Okay.
So you have some credits,
Yes.
Abby.
Yes, Ajim. Yes.
Okay. So that's good.
Okay.
Okay. Now, secondly, when you were building your startup, did you apply for credits for the Activate program that gives you credits to build?
No, I didn't apply.
Okay. So maybe the second
And I
step
didn't
is
know that I was supposed to apply.
so yeah, knowledge is a wonderful thing, and we're all in this room. So you can apply. It's called AWS Activate program. Right?
Okay.
You can just search online. So
and,
you can
and,
apply,
and you can also reach out to us and we'll point you to the right
and they
direction.
can point you in the right direction. Then the third,
my team. I will send you the contact.
Okay,
Thank you
so I
so
really
much.
want to address the third point around technical support. We have something called the Startup Loft program. It's a website, AWS Startup Loft. You can book a session with a solution architect. You don't have to be paying anything for it. You would see the names of the people, you'll see their availability. It's not only a solution architect. You can book with a business a business developer. You can book with a salesperson. You have all this access to support you. So we have startups that literally have calls with us every week, helping them optimize their cost programs. Now, apart from that, there are quite a number of programs you have where AWS will give you credits. Like if you're testing a POC you've already used your first set of credits, we would give you POC credits as well. So I think what's important for the startups in the room is engage with us, because there are quite a number of ways that we can help ensure that you do that build successfully, and then you can also grow and scale.
A round of applause for her. She has been amazing.